Well, welcome back, all the listeners to Radio Entrepreneurs. And we are streaming more stories than ever before. Why? Because more people are tuning in than ever before to Radio Entrepreneurs. We're up almost 40% in the last 3 weeks. And the reason is that most of the people are still working. Most employers are still trying to figure out the formula for staying in business, for keeping people employed in this new economy. And that's what we're talking about all the time. What are people doing? How are they adapting to this economy and pulling together in a grassroots way? My co-host for this segment is the one and only Evan Macedo, VP Finance Operations, Sapers and Wallack. But also, this is an FEI, Financial Executives Institute session, and he is representing FEI in this meeting. Welcome, Evan.
Thank you very much, Jeff. I'm very happy to be here.
Right. And I will call upon you at a certain point. You can save up all those questions after I just open it up with our first guest.
You got it.
Our next guest, I know someone who's been working day and night and has been, and that's Jay Tuli, president of Leader Bank. Welcome, Jay.
Thank you, Jeff. Glad to be here.
Thanks for taking the time. I know you've been busy. Everybody I talk to, they're all talking about their banks. I can't have a conversation with a group of leaders, a presentation with a group of leaders, talk to clients where the banking discussion doesn't come up. So you're a bank. What's it like being inside the bank today?
You know what? It's been amazing. It really has. The role that we are being put in the current situation is one we're proud of. And one we're excited to step up to the plate and help small businesses, and something we're taking very, very seriously.
I have a statement, and I want to know what you're doing at the banks is different. One of my larger clients, very profitable, told me that they got no response from their bank on their filings. They couldn't even get an email back. They were crazed. How they were just ignored through the first round. I've heard this from a lot of companies. Evan said to me, speak to Leader Bank, sent a note to Leader Bank, had a response back to our client in 5 minutes. They had their filing done in a couple of hours. So obviously, leadership starts from the head down. Leader has decided to take a very different position about supporting clients?
I can't say as much what other banks are doing because I don't know. But at least in our own shop, we're taking the PPP program extremely seriously. We're almost approaching it like it's our mission to help small businesses out there. We're taking it as an opportunity to solidify the relationships with our existing clients and to develop new relationships. And we believe we can build some lifelong relationships here if we come in at a time of need. So we have all hands on deck on the PPP program. We have people working day and night. We're putting in automation processes. We're doing whatever we can. And we know that communication is a big part of it. So that's what the team has been focusing on.
That's great.
That's great. And I wanted to say, I've heard a lot of great feedback myself for people that have contacted you guys, and your response rate has been fantastic. And I know, Jeffrey, you just talked about the first round of PPP funding, but I know that is closed, and we're now on to the second round of PPP funding. Jay, can you talk about, what is the second round of PPP funding, and, where the bank stands with that? And
sure,
if you want to take more customers?
Yes. The first round, as you know, is about $350 billion, and got filled up in about 2 weeks, I think. The second round is $320 billion that went live Monday. My guess is it will be filled up in half the time. We had a very large pipeline going into Monday. We took time over the weekend to really sort through it and prep our applications. And actually, we built a little bit of technology so that when the gates opened up, we were able to get through essentially all of our applications that were ready to go. We were able to get through and get secured with the SBA. So I believe this second round is going to go a lot faster, partly because banks have built their capacity. They've trained more people. They've gotten more people up to speed on how to register these loans. Also, banks have started building their own technology or buying technology to get applications through at a fast rate. So that's why I think the process will go a little bit faster this time.
That's fantastic. And then when somebody does get their money, is there a special way they should be tracking it, or should they have it in a separate bank account? Do you have any advice on that?
Yeah, we don't believe a separate bank account's necessary. I know some clients have requested that, or CPAs have requested that to keep it clean, et cetera. We do ask PPP customers to open up a bank account here. If they already have an existing one, that's fine. If they're not a client, they'll open up a new one. We'll fund it. And nowadays it's pretty easy to track through the transaction history. I know a lot of the payroll providers are actually building like PPP reports that business owners can export and give to their bank at the time of forgiveness. So I think the key is just to understand how it works. There will be cases where not the whole amount's going to be forgiven for the small business. So they just need to understand that up front. In some cases, all of it will be forgiven. In some cases, part of it will be forgiven. In some cases, a very little amount. It just depends on how they sort of run their business in the 8 weeks after getting the loan.
Okay, great. And Jeffrey, I'll send it back over to you for some more questions.
Well, Jay, one of the things I've noticed is now the trends. We're starting to create a pattern. One, the government tightening up on what they're going to do, the government setting regulations on these loans. Some companies thinking that they're not going to have to account for these loans properly, and some companies giving back the money. So
Yes.
Just a lot of shifting going on as this whole thing plays out. Does that affect you at the bank as well?
Well, from the what I will say about this program, so a couple of thoughts. One, very impressed with how fast the government got this program out, and how quickly, essentially $700 billion will have been put into Main Street America within 30 days. That is just unbelievable.
A program that never existed before.
Never existed before, out of scratch, money into small business owners, and tied to the employment of their workers, which is fulfilling the goal of what they're trying to achieve. I think extremely creative. So of course there's going to be some hiccups along the way. That's just, what else could you expect with something of this magnitude? There's some political backlash. We knew that was going to happen based on our experience with how TARP money went in 2010, because the government needed to respond. They gave money to banks took it, and then they sort of slapped you on the wrist. So we knew that was going to happen this time. Business owners were going to get it, and then some business owners were going to get slapped on the wrist. That being said, for the majority of the folks who are going to benefit from the money, it is going to achieve the right thing, which is they have to bring their staff back on to get the money forgiven. And if they're not able to, then it turns into a loan. And I think that is just fantastic.
That's
great. And Jay, for all of our listeners out there, for anybody that has applied for the first round and didn't get it, and is just really wondering, what to do, maybe they're not hearing back from their bank, what advice would you give to those companies out there?
Yeah, well, first of all, we're open. We're still taking applications, so happy to help any small businesses in need. I think you really have to reach out to your bank, and if you're not getting the response that you want or in a timely fashion, I think it's forced a lot of small business owners to really contemplate their banking relationship. I think community banks, by and large, have been at a bit of an advantage in some ways because they sort of pride themselves on service. Well, everyone says that, at least, and this is now the test. But I think a lot of people are now really thinking through, do I have the relationship that I want? I will say one thing, which is the government has created a new tool in their playbook. And for the most part, and the jury will be out in 6 to 9 months, but it seems to be working well. Like other tools in their playbook, unemployment, halting foreclosures, there was a series of tools they used the last round, they're using again. I believe this type of tool in their playbook will potentially be used in the next downturn. And so I think a lot of small business owners are waking up to that also and saying, okay, am I with the type of bank that I really want to be with? Because banks are now potentially an agent of the government in the sense of distributing, monetary stimulus. And so do I have the relationship I really want? And so I think a lot of small business owners are really waking up to that and saying, okay, maybe it's time to change my relationship. And surely we and other small banks have really benefited from that.
Well, I know that this is very much a grassroots economy. The federal government gave us a Band-Aid. And with that Band-Aid, we need to use that as a stepping stone back to organizations stimulating the economy and keeping things going. It's not going to be unlimited government support. So it comes back to leadership. And then when this is done, getting back to working with your local banks and your professional teams to really make sure you're approaching the economy in a smart way. We appreciate all the input that we've had and support from Leader Bank. Jay, if somebody's looking for you or the bank, how would they find it?
Yeah, sure. We have a website fully dedicated just to PPP loans, and that is leaderbizloans.com. Leader, B-I-Z, loans.com. You can apply there, and we'll process your application as soon as we can and get back to you.
Well, you've been one of our busiest guests over the last year, and we're hoping that you'll come back again and keep people informed, because as our listenership has been going up dramatically, I think your message to the marketplace about how to work with a bank is important. So we hope you come back. So
absolutely, we'd be glad to.
But more important, we hope you and your family and all the Leader family stay healthy in this time.
Likewise to you, Jeff and Evan, as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And remind everybody, this is Radio Entrepreneurs, but also find FEI, represented by my good friend, Evan Macedo. Evan, if someone's looking for FEI, how would they find it?
If somebody's looking for FEI, you can just you can go to FEI.com or just type in FEI Boston on the Google search and find our webpage. Secondly, if you're trying to get in touch with me, I'm from Sapers and Wallack, and you can reach us at solutions@sapers-wallack.com.
And we didn't say FEI in Boston, New England, is the most successful chapter in the United States. So that's pretty impressive.
Absolutely.
Great.
Well, thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, everyone. And we will be right back with more stories on Radio Entrepreneurs.